All right, what's going on out there, folks? Rooster here in Tennessee. It's been a while since I've done a inventory video of any sorts, but got quite a bit of amplifier inventory in, so figured I'd do a video and again, losing my voice here. Kind of talk about some of the amps that are in and talk about how much they do, what you can put into them, things of that nature. Quite a selection of Fatboy and Carl built here. So, quite a few to choose from if you've been waiting for me to get some amps in. Been sitting on these for a little while, just haven't had time to unpack them. I've been so busy with everything else going out. Just got them unpacked today. So, that being said, let's get on with the show and we'll talk about them. We'll go from right to left and see what we've got. So the first one down here is a Carl built 800 HD, 8-pill 2879 standard. Is in the large case with 2 fans on it. My opinion on these, put about 250 watts PEP in. Run your overall dead key, 300 to 400 watts. That's out of the amp. And you should see in the ballpark of 2 kW PEP, 800 to 900 average. C80, I've got some of these in, 2-pill 2290. Hit them with a 35, 40 watt radio. They do quite a bit of power. They do have a high and low, but they have been doing anywhere between 280 and 300 plus watts PEP. And that's the C80 2-pill. 200 HD, I have not done a video on yet. This actually has 2 standard 2879s in it. Got a couple of these in. It does have a high and low switch on it, whereas most of the Fatboys I sell are just on and off. These standard 2879 2-pills do have a high and low, so they'd be good for a driver. Now you could use this with the 800 HD if you have a weaker radio, you know, something that does probably 20-30 watts. But if you have a high power radio that does 50 or 60 watts, you can still use it with this amp. You just wouldn't want to drive it into the 800 because this little guy, I haven't tested these, but I would probably guess around 400 watts PEP, give or take. Moving around, 6-pill 600 HD. I've done some videos on these. They do rather well. Even with like 100 watts PEP, they seem to get over 1,000 watts pretty easy. So if it was mine, I would put about 180 PEP max into one of these. I think he rates them over 200 watts. That they require over 200 watts of drive. But if it was mine, I would put about 180 PEP into it and let it go. And probably run my dead key around 250, 300 watts. That's the 6-pill 600 HD. Actually got a couple of these in that have already been paid for. They were special ordered with sideband on them. This one doesn't have sideband. Speaking of sideband, I do have a 400 HD that does have sideband. This is the 4-pill 2879 standard. Same as the one below it, except this one has a sideband. This one does not. Now on these, 100 to 150 watts PEP is plenty. Myself, I would stay between 100 and 125. Seems like that's what it takes to get them to 800, 900 watts PEP. Any more than that, it seems like your return, you have diminishing returns. You know, you can put 150 in, but you're not going to get that much more power out. So around 100 to 125, these things do good. Striker radios, Anytones, things of that nature, they match up really well with them. This is the 400 HD. Above it is just a C40. This is the 1-pill option modulator, if you want to call them that. It's a single 2290. I do have a few of these in. Not a lot of amp builders building the 1-pills now because you know, you just don't get a lot of, you can spend just as much time building a 2-pill and make more money, basically, is what I'm saying. So you know, you don't have a whole lot of people doing the 1-pill option. Fatboy won't build 1-pills. They won't build anything below the 2-pill. So I do try to keep some of these in, and again, they do about 100, 120 PEP. You'd want to put a 20, 30 watt radio into them. Do good. You know, you had something like a President McKinley, something like that, run it into this, and then run that into a 4-pill. You'd have a nice little setup. Okay, on to the Fatboys. So I've got some pretty interesting amps over here, some that aren't, some familiar ones and some that aren't so familiar. So this big guy sitting on top is a 1-drive-and-8 454. I'm pretty excited to test this one out and see how it does. I believe it's all 454s, even in the driver section, and I'm assuming the high and low, we're going to be able to kill the 8-pill section and the 1-pill section, I assume. So we'll see how that goes. Pretty excited about this one to test it out. Again, that's a 1-drive-and-8 454, but I do believe that we'll be able to kill both the driver and the 8 output section. This is a straight 8 454, and it'll take about 120 watts PEP worth of drive to get max output. And generally they do anywhere between 1200 and the highest I've heard somebody getting out of one of these is 1400 PEP. And it is the benefit of the 454 transistor, as I always say, they don't take a lot of drive. You don't have to drive a ton into them, and they seem to not draw as much current as the 2879 counterparts do. So the 8-pill, you know, you could run less into it. I think I've driven them with a 50-watt radio, and they do 800 or 900 watts with a 50-watt radio. So nice kind of medium drive amps. Again, they will do 1300 watts PEP. Generally around 500, 550 average max. 4-pill 2879C, sold many of these. Always a popular amp. They do have the 2879C transistor. This one's AM only. 200 watts PEP worth of drive. You could probably dead key 8 to 12 watts into it. Keep your dead key at 250 watts or less. And then again, you can swing about 200. Some people even say 250 into these. And you can probably expect anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 watts PEP output max. This is a 6-pill 454 below, and the 8-pill takes 120 watts. So on the 6-pill, we're going to say between 90 and 100 watts PEP, which makes them perfect for a striker. 955, 655, 497, depending on your watt meter. We'll get into that in a little bit, but some people's watt meters out there are going to tell you different. But those radios that do 80, 90 watts PEP would be perfect for this. I have not done a video on one of these before, but I do hope to do a video pretty soon here in the future. Probably test it out with a 447. Moving along here, 4-pill 454 right there in the middle. This guy. Usually tell people hit these with 60, 70 watt radio, and they'll do 500 to 600 watts PEP. The dead key going in, generally 3-4 watts, I believe, and they seem to run really good. Underrated amp, 4-pill 454. Very underrated amp. More people should definitely look at getting the 454 amps. Two guys up front here, probably the all-time best seller, 2-pill 2879C. Probably the most bang for buck and the most popular amp that I sell. One has sideband, one does not. You can swing up to 80, 100 watts PEP into these. They'll do 550 to 650 PEP, or you can hit them with a 50 watt radio, and they generally do anywhere between 400 and 450 watts. Or you can drive them with less. You don't have to hit them that hard. That's the 2-pill 2879Cs. I always get people message me about these. It never fails. Almost as soon as they come in, they sell. People use them for drivers. People that don't want to put a lot of stuff in their mobile, they want to keep it simple. These guys are hard to beat. 3-pill, 1-drive-and-2 2879C. So if you got a Cobra 29, President McKinley, Uniden 78, even probably the 959, this thing is killer. Basically like a 2-pill C-box, except it's got a driver built into it. You can expect anywhere 550 to 650 PEP out of it. You know, swing into it 30, 40 watts PEP. Should be good to go. And last but not least is a 2-pill 454. So I've got the whole family of 454s here. These will do about 280 to 300 PEP. I generally swing into them 40, 50 watts. They'll take it. Same case as a 2-pill 2879C, except it uses the 454. Cheaper than a 2-pill 2879C, but they do less power. So this one has no variable on it, just on and off switch. 280 to 300 watts PEP with a 40, 50 watt radio going in. So if you're just looking for something simple, maybe you need a driver, good ticket on those, 2-pill 454. So I got the whole 454 family, 2-pill 454, 4-pill, 6, 8, and one driving 8. One driving 8 has 2 fans on it. The 8 has a single fan. Another good thing about the 454 is they don't need a whole lot of cooling. They don't dissipate as much heat, or generate, I should say, as much heat as the 2879s. So, there you guys have it. Amp inventory. Again, I've been so busy I haven't had time to do any of these inventory videos in a while. I apologize for that. More radios becoming available this week. I know that isn't an amp, but just letting you guys know that more radios are becoming available. I've got quite a significant order in for radios. So a few people have commented that the radio stock is looking kind of bare right now, and at this very day, it is. But if you'd have checked the same time last week, you would have saw that I had all kinds of radios. So that just speaks to how many have been moving in and out of here. So again, these amps have been here. Gosh, they've probably been sitting in the boxes for a week or two, and I haven't had time to unpack them. So if you've been wondering why I haven't been doing any amp videos, it's just because I haven't had time to get to them. So that's it, guys. All these that are here are available. Of course, you can always custom order amps through me if you want specific things, sideband, things of that nature. I try to keep some amps with sideband, but I don't get every amp with sideband. So you guys see I've got the 4-pill there. I think on my next order I've got a 6-pill coming with sideband, but I'm not sure. The only way to guarantee you get something like that is if you want to prepay for it. And I'm not trying to hold people's money for 2 or 3 months or anything like that. Usually it's, 6 weeks or less, and that's sometimes less than that. But if you want to guarantee to get an amp, guarantee your spot to get one, you will need to put some money down ahead of time, especially the custom stuff with sideband or preamp or anything like that. All right, guys, that's it. Questions, comments, shoot me a text.